Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are here to preview the match, that being Celtic versus AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League Play-Off Round. A lot at stake for both of these sides. The Europa League group stages await, Celtic looking to get there on the 4th year on the bounce after a disappointing exit from the Champions League, but look, they are here to get into the Europa League group stages, which is still great for income for Scottish teams. And same with AZ Alkmaar. They got to the promised land last year, they got to the group stages, and of course the Eredivisie doesn't pay as well as Europe does, so they will be looking to get there also. However, only one team out of them both can get there. Before we do get into the preview, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Scottish football content. Okay guys, let's get into the sort of preview and let's talk about the sides. Celtic, as I said, going into this one in pretty good form, beating Dundee, Jablonec twice, and defeating Hearts at the weekend to progress into the League Cup quarter-final after a disappointing start to the season, losing to Hearts away at Tynecastle in their first league game and exiting the Champions League to Midtjylland in a pretty embarrassing fashion. Look, Celtic, as I said, they've started to really show form. They're going into games, scoring a lot of goals, and we're starting to see the philosophy that Ange Postecoglou is trying to portray on his Celtic side. However, the media were asking questions, as we all do as supporters. It was only Jablonec, it was only Dundee, and it was only Jablonec again. However, they answered the questions again against Hearts, and now I think this game here against AZ Alkmaar is going to be a big test, and it'll really show where Celtic are at, and whether they are, title contenders, and whether they will be able to show it in Europe. So I'm really excited for this game. I'm going to talk about AZ Alkmaar. As I said, most people probably have heard of the team, but don't know too much about them. AZ Alkmaar are a team that play in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. And last year had a very good season. They finished third, 1 point behind PSV Eindhoven. And the season before that, where the season obviously got cut short, in the Eredivisie it was null and void in the 1920 season due to the coronavirus outbreak, they were joint first with Ajax Amsterdam. So the team has been together for quite a while and are really showing how good of a team they are, and really are improving over time, whether that be domestically and in Europe. Yes, they were in Europe last year. They got to the Europa League group stages. They didn't progress into the knockout rounds though. However, they were in a bit of a group of death. Well, a group of death for the Europa League. The teams that made up were Real Sociedad from Spain, Napoli from Italy, and Rijeka from Croatia. So a pretty tough group for a Europa League group. But look, they still got wins on the board. They still did really well in Europe. They just missed out by a point in terms of qualification. So over the last couple of seasons, AZ have been very impressive domestically and in Europe, and scoring lots and lots of goals against oppositions and playing a real attractive attacking style of play. Two key players over the last 2 seasons have been Myron Badu and Callum Stengs, who both have departed this summer after again another impressive season last year. Myron, over his 88 games at AZ Alkmaar, scored 38 goals and provided 18 assists. Callum Stengs was a right winger. He played 78 games across his time at AZ Alkmaar, scoring 13 goals and 17 assists. So two really key players, and they have gone, which is a massive blow to any team, of course. 2 star players leaving in a summer after an impressive couple of years at the club. But as I said, 2 of their key players have been sold, and you're probably wondering what they're like now, because a team can completely change. But before we do talk about what AZ Alkmaar are like now, yes, they were a big part of the team. Badu and Steng, they conjured up a lot of goals, they created a lot of assists, but this AZ team scored loads more goals from other players and didn't just rely on those 2 players to score goals. As I said, they've got Goodmanson, who still plays for the club. They still got Carlson. They still got Abu Kahal, who still provide a goal threat for AZ Alkmaar. And as I said, they got goals coming from the defence, the midfield, and aren't just relying on them 2 players, which is an interesting part of this piece. So yeah, AZ do have other players that can score goals. However, what have they been like without these players in the team? Well, it's hard to really show what they have been like because the Eredivisie only started last weekend and they were impressive through pre-season and were scoring goals and were playing pretty much the same way as they usually were without their two key players. However, people take pre-season with a pinch of salt. In the league, they lost their opening game against RKC, which was very disappointing from AZ Alkmaar. But I don't think the score really tells the whole story. I watched the game back and AZ were the better side. RKC were very lucky. They could have even lost that game 7-0, which is a weird term to use considering they lost the game 1-0 AZ, but they could have won the game 7-0. They were so dominant, they were fast flowing, they were attacking, they were going down the right side, the left side, the centre, over the top, and they were creating so many chances, and chances were just going beckoning. Literally, the clinical and the rustiness from the strikers and the finishers cost AZ that game. They could have scored so many goals. And that's what I'm going to put down their opening defeat down to, is just rustiness, just not at sharpness. And this is where I feel this game could play into Celtic's hands. As AZ have not been clinical in that opening match against RKC, they're going against a much harder opposition in a cauldron of an atmosphere at Celtic Park, where Celtic have been very impressive. They've been firing from all cylinders, scoring goals. This is where Celtic could capitalise on this rustiness from AZ and and win the match. However, it's not all roses there for Celtic. Celtic do have their problems, and if AZ do find a bit of form and do find shake off that rust and are clinical, they can also cause Celtic problems, as their defence I don't feel are up for it. As I said, Celtic have been great going forward. I'll leave all the plaudits onto Celtic for going forward. They've been so good, but in the games that they have been impressive, like your Jablonec, and like your Hearts, they can still conceded a lot of goals. That most recent game against Hearts, I do not know how that ended 3-2. That could have easily ended 7-0 to Celtic. But Celtic still conceded 2 goals from an individual error, which led to a penalty and a defensive mistake towards the end, which is a worry. If I was a Celtic fan, it is a worry, because AZ Alkmaar are a level up of opposition, albeit they are slightly rusty, I suppose, and have lost their 2-star players, but they're still a class above Hearts and could cause that Celtic defence a problem. Having said this, I'm going to go on to my score prediction, and I do think Celtic will win. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game, and I think it's going to be an interesting match, and it's going to really show where Celtic are at. I think AZ, after watching that game, they are a bit rusty. I do think they'll score goals against Celtic, but I just think Celtic are a bit more fitter. They're going to be on the ball a bit more. They're going to be attacking more, and they're just going to outscore AZ. And I think that game's going to end 3-2. And it's all going to be playing for in the away leg back in the Netherlands. But yeah, that's my score prediction. I think AZ will be a bit rusty, and I think Celtic are going to carry on their good form and score goals. But I do think the defence is going to leak a goal or two. Guys, let me know your score predictions down there in the old comment section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We have got the live stream for this game on Wednesday, so yeah, please do tune into it. Meet your fellow subscribers, engage with them. It's good fun that we have on our live streams, guys. Celtic versus AZ on Wednesday. Get your score predictions down there below, and I'll see you all for the game on Wednesday. Take care, peace, like and subscribe.